homework and I was wondering if you could keep it down. What's that smell? Is that marijuana?
Yeah, so you got a problem with pot?
Of course I do. It's illegal and it's really unhealthy.
Chill, dude. It's just a plant.
Is it?
To begin our research on the controversy around marijuana, Trixie and I asked community members their opinions about the matter.
What is the first thing that comes to mind when hearing the words marijuana?
Weed. Getting high.
Recreational drug use.
The belief.
The 60s.
Like a metaphysical feeling.
Do you think marijuana is unhealthy?
Look, I mean, anything that you smoke isn't good for you.
I don't think it's unhealthy. I think excessive use is just for the simple fact that it alters the way you think, the way you react to certain situations.
I look at it like anything else. It's any other drug that you take. I mean, it could do harm to you. That it does stuff to your brain, kills your brain cells.
No, I think it's absolutely healthy.
It can be. Why? Because of the effect of the smoke on the lungs.
People use it as for medicine, medical reasons, so I think that's something that people should keep in mind when they think about marijuana.
Should marijuana be legal?
Of course it should be legalized.
I don't really see it as a serious drug.
Stimulate the economy.
Because alcohol is much more detrimental to your health than actually that's legal.
I do. Oh my god. I don't know. I feel like people would just kind of overuse it in a way. So abuse the fact that it is legal.
Any legalization of something that people are going to do anyway that does not directly harm other people, I think would cut down on crime.
These answers made Trixie and I question our previous beliefs on marijuana. Is marijuana really unhealthy? Let's take a look at what we found out. Marijuana affects your body in a lot of different ways. The organ that it affects the most is probably your brain. THC is a compound of marijuana that affects your brain, and that looks something like this. When someone smokes pot, THC enters their brain and affects the cerebellum and the basal ganglia, which are the same parts of the brain that respond to things like sex, chocolate, and other drugs. The smoker gets a feeling of euphoria. This is getting high. During this state, the user has a difficult time forming new memories and shifting focus. THC binds to receptors in parts of the brain that regulate balance, coordination, and reaction time, making simple tasks such as driving more difficult. Taking a large enough dose of marijuana can also result in hallucinations and delusions. Term effects of THC on the brain are more uncertain. Findings on how heavy marijuana use affects the structure and function of the brain have been inconsistent, which could be due to confounding variables such as other drug use, or because the effects are too subtle to accurately detect. Studies done on rats show that exposure to THC during adolescence causes fairly significant problems with learning and memory tasks later in life, and can speed up nerve cell loss that occurs naturally with age. Evidence shows that smoking pot could worsen mental disorders such as anxiety and depression, but this could simply be due to the fact that people with already worse anxiety and depression are more likely to self-medicate. Marijuana also affects the heart. Within the first hour of smoking, heart rate and blood pressure increase, increasing the risk of heart attack. A very common misconception is that marijuana smoke is not in any way harmful to your lungs. This is not true. Marijuana contains up to 30% more carcinogens and irritants than tobacco smoke, giving it the potential to promote lung cancer. It also induces high levels of an enzyme that converts hydrocarbons into their cancer-causing form, which could accelerate the changes that ultimately produce malignant cells. And since marijuana smokers generally inhale more deeply and hold their breath longer than tobacco smokers, the lungs are exposed longer to carcinogenic smoke. A regular marijuana smoker may also have some of the same problems that tobacco smokers do, such as a heavy cough, more frequent chest illnesses, and a greater risk of respiratory infections. Studies on animals have also shown that there are negative effects of THC on the function of various immune cells. However, there are no studies yet that connect marijuana's immune system suppression with an increased occurrence of infections or immune disorders in humans. One study found marijuana smoking in AIDS patients to be associated with a few negative effects on their immune function. A second small study of college students also suggested a possibility of marijuana having harmful effects on the immune system function. Research has shown that for women who smoked marijuana during pregnancy, their babies had a different response to visual stimuli, increased amount of tremors or shaking, and a high-pitched cry, which might indicate problems with neurological development. Even though marijuana has all of these negative physical effects on the body, it's also prescribed as medicine, hence medical marijuana. Some of the health benefits that marijuana has are that it relieves migraines, PMS, chronic pain due to things like multiple sclerosis. It's used to calm those with OCD, Tourette's. It's used to prevent Alzheimer's through reducing the occurrence of depression. It's also prescribed to cancer patients, as studies have shown that cannabis helps to slow down the production of cancer cells in the body, and it also alleviates the side effects of chemotherapy. So, as you can see, smoking marijuana definitely has negative physical effects on the human body. However, that doesn't necessarily mean that it should be illegal. As you all know, marijuana being illegal doesn't necessarily keep people from using it.
Now let's take a look at the other things we need to consider when talking about legalization. There's no doubt that there's an economic benefit for the legalization of marijuana. The question is just how great is that benefit? Marijuana has been estimated to be the largest cash crop in the state of California, revenue reaching upwards to $14 billion. Imagine if one would put a 10% tax on that. That would yield $1.4 billion for the state of California alone. Not only bringing revenue for the state, it would also allow for many job opportunities, ranging in all different disciplines: agriculture, packaging, marketing, advertisement. Think of the possibilities. Hypothetically, say I were to start growing pot. The estimated expenses for a marijuana plant is $142. One plant yields about 5 pounds, 16 ounces in a pound, 28 grams in an ounce, so that's a total of 2,240 grams per plant, times 15, which is the estimated price of a gram. That would be a total of $33,600. Minus expenses, $33,458. Wow. In Kentucky, where 1 out of 5 people live below the poverty line and nothing else to profit from, they've resorted to growing marijuana, which is 3 times more profitable than tobacco. Kentucky's law enforcement try to fight back, using helicopters to scope out the tiniest gardens in the most secluded areas, using fuel, energy, and taxpayers' money, spending $800 an hour, 8 hours a day. Throughout a year, they spend $1.4 million. Marijuana has been rebranded as a natural herbal remedy packed with healing power. Relaxed Clarity, a clinic in Colorado run by a Dr. Boland, is a firm believer in the benefits of marijuana as treatment for intense pain. He recommends the herb to be used in a vaporizer to cut down on some harmful effects on the lungs. Marijuana has been a life-changing recommendation for Scott Snuffler, who has been living with a rare blood disorder that has left him in tremendous amount of pain. He had been using other painkillers like Oxycontin, Vicodin, even liquid morphine, that left him in a fog and only lasted for a couple of hours. He started being scared of an addiction problem, dependency. Scott started using marijuana, and though he still hurt, he didn't care that he hurt, and was able to do things he couldn't do before, like be a father to his kids. Portugal has taken a very different approach to drugs by decriminalizing all drugs. This may seem crazy at first, but has turned out to be rather effective. Is that cracking down on drugs wasn't working, and drug abuse was getting out of hand. Instead of spending taxpayers' money on imprisonment for users, they thought it would be better to spend money on treatment so that people suffering from severe drug use would be helped and reformed into functioning citizens. When citizens got caught with drugs, instead of imprisonment, they gave them tickets, sentencing them to drug counseling, where they'd meet with a counselor and figure out what the right treatment would be for them. The idea of drug abuse resulting in treatment has encouraged kids to stay away from drugs, and the drug abuse rate in Portugal has dropped significantly since drug decriminalization. A question that is commonly asked when referring to the legalization of marijuana is what kind of message will it be sending to our kids? But what kind of message are you sending to your kids when you have a 30 rack of Coors in the fridge?
Overall, there is no easy decision to be made about the controversy over marijuana.
However, we both support the legalization of marijuana, even though it is very unhealthy.
The benefits that marijuana would bring to our society as a whole outweigh the potential harm that it could have on the human body.